All right. So, quick introduction from myself. My name is Byron Minson. I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the Virginia Association of Soil and Water Conservation Districts, and I'm also the statewide Envirothon coordinator. So, I'm super excited to be here today, but I am not actually the one who is leading this training today. That is actually Lydia, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. So take it away.
Yes, hi, my name is Lydia. I'm interning under Byron this summer, which has been really fun. And I've been working on Envirothon content all summer, so I'm really excited to share with you guys what I have been working on.
Yeah. All right. Well, and as I mentioned in some of the things that I put out there, there is a chance if you need continuing education credits, those kinds of certification points, this will count for 1 hour of that. I'll be sending an email to everybody afterwards with information on how to do that. So just as an FYI, that is a possibility, and I will be emailing everyone. But with that being said, I will just let us get right on into it and let Lydia tell you all about the amazing things she's been doing.
Yes, so I'm going to share my screen. Beautiful. All right, so like we just said, this is the Envirothon coach training, and my name is Lydia. So a little bit about me. This summer, I'm interning with the association, working on Envirothon. Will be a rising junior at William and Mary. I am studying environmental science and integrative conservation. And when I was in high school, I did the Envirothon, and I also did Youth Conservation Camp and Youth Conservation Leadership Institute. So you can see on the bottom, this is the picture of my Envirothon team after placing at our area competition. And then the one above that is me at Youth Conservation Camp. Super fun. Definitely recommend. So I love those things so much that I wanted to come back and work on them as an intern. So I have a little bit of that student perspective that you might not hear as much. So now I want to hear a little bit about you guys. Put your name in the chat, what your role is, if you're a coach, if you're Soil and Water Conservation District staff, what group you're associated with if you're a coach, high school, what district you're associated with, those kinds of things, and how much you know about Envirothon. If you're not very familiar with it, if you have a lot of experience with it, let me know.
All right. Awesome. We've got some teachers, we've got a district staffer. Let's see, who else have we got in the chat? Another district staffer, another one. New to Envirothon, I love that. Awesome, a coach. Ooh, a middle school coach. Director. Lots of great people in the chat. New to Envirothon, awesome. I love all of the new people that are here. We are going to give you guys lots of resources to get you started. So that's super exciting. Two years, nice. All right, it seems like we've got some returning folks, but also a lot of new folks in the chat and a good mix of district people and actual coaches. Very cool.
Very exciting to have a diverse pool. Okay, so we're just gonna go into a little bit about what the Envirothon is. It will like me. Yes. So there are 5 different topics associated with the Envirothon: forestry, aquatics, wildlife, soils, and a special topic every year that changes, that is all environmentally related. So for the Envirothon competition, they are tested in each of these different areas that combines a written test that they are taking with the hands-on experiences and skills that you see in some of these pictures. as well as an oral presentation that they're giving on the special topic that kind of dives into a real world example and how they can problem solve for this. Is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think that a big component of Envirothon is that it's team-based. So one thing that I like to tell all new folks is that you only need 5 students and 1 adult. That is the only thing that you need for an Envirothon team. And you can go to your first competition never having studied and show up and just have the experience and still have a good time. Of course, you might not do as well as some of the teams that may have studied a little more, but really those requirements are only the 5 people and adult. So it's not super hard to get involved, but it is what you make it. But yeah, I think that's a good overview. And just as an FYI for those folks in the chat, as Lydia goes through everything, if you have any questions at all, feel free to put them in the chat. I'm keeping an eye on that and I will bring them up as they are needed. So yeah, definitely write in any questions you have.
All right. So now for the Envirothon newsletter, if you are not currently a part of this, this is the source to get all of your information about trainings, about new resources, and everything you need to know. This is for coaches, for staff, for students. Please scan this QR code, sign up for the newsletter. I will give you guys a second to do this. Yes, and all of the photos are from the most recent state competition.
And actually, Meredith Rose, the one who said that, is the one who took these photos. So we also love the photos, Meredith.
Yes.
Thank you. Also, I did drop the link to that newsletter in the chat as well. So if you can't do QR codes, it's also there.
Right. And then so this is going to be kind of more of the bulk of this talk. So this is the Envirothon guide. If you want to scan the QR code and access it that way, that's fine. I will also be walking you through how to get to it from the website. So I'll give everyone a few seconds and then I'll start navigating to it and you can do it with me if you would like.
I did also put that link in the chat once again. So if you can't do QR codes and you want to just click on a direct link, you can do it that way.
All right. Working. So I'm navigating to the aswcd.org. And then it's going to be under the K through 12 tab, under Virginia Dominion Energy Envirothon and Envirothon Study Resources.
And as Lydia's on this page, I just want to point out that some of you may be familiar with this page looking very, very different. So this page used to just be a long list of links. So what Lydia is going to talk about today is what she has done to make that long list of links something that is much more usable, user-friendly, less overwhelming, and that is this master kind of Envirothon guide. So very exciting about that.
Yes, all right. So the first link here is going to be the one you want to click on. This will probably look all new to everyone because it has never been up here before, but it is now. So this is the Envirothon guide. There's a lot of different sources on here. You can see all the tabs on the left that you can click on to access these different things with cute fun emojis. So the first thing we're gonna go is to the study guides. So this is a very brief introduction to the study guide that just lets you know that now the links that used to be in a huge long list are now going to be embedded into every topic. So when you go and learn about a topic, you will have the sources right there, and I'll go and show you that in just a minute. The bolded words in the study guide are going to be for vocabulary, key terms that the students need to know. The blue and underlined words are a link. The underlined words are just to show emphasis, don't really indicate anything specific. And then there are words in parentheses above an image, just so you can search for the text that's in the image if you're trying to find something super specific, because they are this is a very long document. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead with the wildlife study guide, because that was my topic when I did Envirothon, so it's my personal, I have a personal connection to the wildlife one. So some of this might look a bit familiar if you have seen, but this is just going over the content overview and the objectives. And then here is a clickable table of contents. And then this might look a bit familiar with the topics. The content hasn't changed a whole lot, but as you can see, there's now clickable links built right into every single topic. And your bolded vocab words. One thing to note is when there are videos, for example, right here, they will be linking a specific part of a video that starts at a specific timestamp, so you can have that specific topic. So you have these really great Envirothon playlists that have such wonderful information that areas have worked really hard on. This was area 1 and 2, that a lot of people have great information in, but because it's so long, it's kind of hard to find the information you want. So these will link specific parts of the video that talk in this example about generalist and specialist species. But other than that, the study guides look mostly the same. It's just kind of combining the two different resources that we used to have into one. So hopefully for coaches and teachers and staff that you only need this one document instead of a web page and 4 different study guides. You just need this one resource. And then for this special topic, this has not been fully put out for 2027. I'm sorry if you guys were hoping to get a sneak peek. The resources have not been put out by the national, but as soon as they are, your resources will be uploaded right to this page. This is the information that's put out currently about the topic. So you can read this brief summary in your own time to try and figure out what the new content is going to be. Then next we're going to go into vocab files. So this tab, so these files, which are right here, I'll open one. It's not very pretty. This is like terrible to look at, but I promise it's useful. Okay, I promise it's useful. So in your different websites that you use to learn skills like Quizlet, I listed a ton of other ones here. You can input these files into the websites to create your own flashcards. And this way you can edit it. And that way, like, you don't have to ask me to edit it. And if maybe websites now require a paid version, right? I'm not limiting people because they don't have the paid version now. And you can add more terms if you don't think I have enough, or maybe I made a typo and you want to correct my typo. So all of these allow you to be able to input the files into the different websites. So these are tab separated plain text files. These will be the ones that you want to use in majority of websites. The only exception to this is a few websites require incorrect answer options. So that would be like Kahoot, Wayground, which used to be quizzes. That was, at least my high school, it was quizzes. So those you would need the comma separated values, which is an Excel spreadsheet. Fancy term for Excel spreadsheet. And you can input the incorrect answer options if you would like, but I only have the correct answers. I don't have incorrect answers. So these files are for if you would like to do that. And I can go into a demo of how to input these files into Quizlet if you would like at the end. And then we're going to go on to practice tests. So I have made full practice tests for wildlife right now. The other ones will be coming soon. I'm working for the next week and a half. Sadly, it's not longer than that. But these will be uploaded by the end of 2 weeks. So these are full practice tests for the different subjects. There's also an answer key with all of the answers. It is 100 points as long as I did my math right. And they're about 40 questions. They're done using a combination of state questions, inspired on state questions, on national questions, on area questions. So there's a lot of different difficulty levels. It is a little bit difficult to mimic the hands-on experience that you would get, for example, by looking at skulls and pelts. So I've tried to mimic that as much as possible in these practice tests, but some of that really isn't going to be able to mimic exactly what you're going to experience. For example, a soil pit. It's really difficult to mimic jumping into a soil pit yourself. So take a little bit of this with a grain of salt. Also looking at these skulls, there might be something with size where you can't tell the size relative that might help you. So some of this might be a bit harder because you don't have it in front of you.
One thing that I will also point out with the practice tests is that this is an example of what a test might look like. But the content that is in these tests is not everything that could be included in an Envirothon test. For that full list of all the things that are kind of, potential questions, you want to go to those study guides that have the learning objectives, because those are going to be your actual, here's everything that could potentially come up on a test. This is more so to just give you that practice with what an Envirothon test might look like, with that understanding that, this is just one example, and you shouldn't just memorize the answers to these questions because it's not just going to be these questions.
Yes, but if the content is covered in this, I would know it. There's nothing on here that isn't up for grabs.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I would definitely know the information that is in here. So that will be coming soon, and you should be able to grade yourself using the answer key relatively easily. Some of it you'll have to, some of the written answers, maybe you want to have a student ask their coach, like, hey, what do you think about this answer? Or maybe their peers, or maybe just having the students have to reflect themselves if they really think an answer is correct. And I think that is it with the practice test. Another thing that I have done is SOL alignment. So this is for whoever wants to use it. This includes middle and high school SOLs, because I know we're starting to have more middle school Envirothon teams. So I do have them organized first by each of the concepts, have the SOLs that apply to it for wildlife, soils, forestry, and aquatics. And then I also have it organized, and oral presentation. Forget about our oral presentation as well. And then also by subject, just the general ones that apply to any of the categories for each of your different subjects. So this, if you need to, for your school, you need to prove, hey, this does align with what we're supposed to be teaching kids, anything like that. This is a little bit more of an up-to-date version for that. And then I would also like to point out the feedback form, because I certainly am not perfect. Much of you all are much more experts compared to me. So if you notice any typos or maybe incorrect information, a broken link, maybe there's just general improvements where you think there could be something better, please fill out this form. If you notice anything in the next week and a half where I can fix it, and so it's not on Byron, that would be great. But it will be open for a long time. So as you notice things, please fill out this form as many times as you would like. I think that is everything.
Awesome. Well, I want to make sure, does anyone have any questions about anything in this new master document, or anything that's jumping out to you that you want to dive into a little deeper? We can definitely also do that demo of how you put the vocab files into a website. Agreed, Lydia is absolutely a rock star. This like maybe it does look like a lot of work to you, but it might not. It might look like, oh, it's just, no, this is huge. Like Lydia did so much work. This was really, really awesome, everything that she did to hopefully make things easier for y'all and make things easier for people to get involved. So we want to make it as good as it can possibly be. So like she said, if there's any feedback, again, anything you want to dive into a little further, that is what this time is for, because otherwise, how are middle schoolers involved? Yeah, so that's a great question. We don't have any statewide middle school Envirothon programs at the current moment. However, there are local districts who have middle school programs. So one that comes to mind is the Headwaters District, which is the area that serves, oh gosh, near Harrisonburg area. And so Headwaters has a middle school program that they have locally. So if you're interested in having a middle school program, that's something to reach out to your local soil and water conservation district staff and team about. Because there is not an official statewide one. It's something we would like to get to eventually, but it's just not where it is right now. One other tab in this document that I think is important is the coach handbook still. Yes.
Mhm.
So the coach handbook, which was updated last year, is also in this document. And if you haven't looked at that before, especially to my coaches that are new, that is a really great kind of overall look at how do you get a team started? What are some recruitment tips? Some more of those kind of coach specific things. So definitely give that a look as well. All right. Are there any other questions or any other things that folks want us to dig into a little more, show off a little more? All right, I'm not seeing anything right now. So do you want to go ahead and do the demo for the vocab file?
Sure. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is go back to the vocab files tab. And I'm going to pick wildlife. Shocking. And then this is a Google Drive, so I'm going to download this file. Beautiful. And then I'm going to go to Quizlet because that's what I used through all of high school. And I think this is not the homepage. I'll go to the homepage first. Then I click the plus button and a flashcard set. And then you click import. Most of the websites will have some kind of import function. Oh, and then I need to open my file. So pretty. And I just need to copy and paste everything. So fun. Copy and paste. And then the really important thing here is that when it says between term and definition, you have tab, and then between cards as new line, which is how it's automatically set up. But for whatever reason, if it's not on those things, have it between those things. And then you just click import. And there you go, 115 flashcards with definitions. So for Quizlet, it's not too bad. Some websites like to hide the buttons from you. Don't know why. Kahoot is one of them. Yes. Right, and then you can use your flashcards. Wait and practice. I don't
Oh.
want that.
I don't know what that's about.
Oh, there you go. And this apparently will automatically generate some fun things for you.
Oh.
Oh, not start free trial.
And this is why we gave you
This
the
is why we
option,
gave you other options.
because maybe one day Quizlet is a full paid
Yeah.
subscription situation, and we don't wanna mess with that.
Yeah, they make it more and more difficult, I think, every year to use Quizlet. So there's lots of other options.
All right. Well, I'll ask again, does anybody have any questions or anything that are there any, kind of sticky points in the Envirothon program that we can help you with, or any questions you may have? How often do students typically meet? That is a great question, and it does really depend on the actual team. Let me pull up that guide, and I'm gonna go over to the coach handbook because there is in here. Where is it? Is it this? There's a timeline in here at some point. Trying to figure out where it is. I thought it was right here. Oh well, it's somewhere in the coach's handbook, and I'm just not seeing it right now because I'm not seeing it right now. But for how often do students typically meet? Like I said, it can depend on what works best for you as a team. Some folks do a once a week club, after school club. Some teachers, if they are teachers in high school settings who are already teaching things like environmental science, will kind of embed the curriculum or embed it into their curriculum, which is where those SOL alignments might come into play. You could also just meet once a semester and just do it for the fun. So it really depends. The time that you put into it makes, how competitive your team is, because at the end of the day, it is a competition. So if you want to be a really, really competitive team, you're going to meet more often than a team that isn't as competitive. And then the time commitment for students and coaches, again, that one depends, but in terms of competitions themselves, if you go to an area competition, that is going to be a 1 day event that is typically held on a weekday. So that is 1 day away from school or work. And then if you make it to the state competition, that is a 2 day competition that is a Sunday overnight into Monday. So that's the time commitment in terms of the competitions themselves. But again, everything kind of in between that is something you can make or break, and you can make whatever fits best for you. And then the dates for actual trainings or the competition, not quite yet. Those have not been set yet. The Envirothon program has not actually been officially kicked off yet. So the official Envirothon 2026-2027 kickoff will be in October. I don't have a date for that kickoff yet, but I promise as soon as I do, I will be putting it out there for everybody. And at that time, we will have some better ideas for when things will be happening. And again, I put all of those details in the Envirothon newsletter that we shared earlier on our website. They'll all be, anything you need to know will be given to you, but no actual dates yet. And then there's a question for you, Lydia, that says, I'm curious how you heard about Envirothon as a high schooler and what made you want to get involved. Our team has really struggled with recruitment, so I would love to hear a recent student perspective.
Yeah, so when I was in high school, I took AP Environmental Science, and that teacher was just restarting our school's Envirothon team after COVID. We hadn't had a team for a while. And he talked about it during class, but then he also made sure to talk to me afterwards, and specifically asked me like, "Hey, I think this is something you would be interested in," because I sat right by the teacher's desk. I was that kind of student, and I was very passionate about environmental science. So, I mean, yes, talking about it in a class, but also to me, it was really my teacher coming and asking me about it. that really made me want to come. Um, my school hasn't had a team in the past few years though, so I don't know. I don't know that that's the best example. But I know that can also be really hard if you don't have an environmental science class at your school or something.
There are a couple of recruitment tips in that coach's handbook. They're not foolproof. Every school or FFA or youth group or whatever kind of organization you're working within is going to be different, and getting students interested is going to be different with each organization. But in general, if we're talking about high schools, like Lydia said, talking about Envirothon during a class where you know that those students may be interested is great. Another thing that I've seen that has worked really well is making Envirothon as an after-school club where the students are not required to do anything outside of that club. They're not required to go to competitions. So hopefully you get, more than just that magic 5 number. You get even more students involved, and then you can kind of pick amongst the students that are the most dedicated. So having it be more of like a club for environmental science rather than I'm just going to pick these students that are my team. Other things I've heard is we're approaching the beginning of school. So if you're working out of a school, sometimes doing things during that first week, the orientation, like going up to the freshmen who are just, getting involved, that can be a good way to get folks involved from the get-go. It's definitely really challenging, especially once they get into their junior and senior years, because as I'm sure many of y'all know, a lot of these kids that would be interested in Envirothon are also doing a million other things. So sometimes it can be tricky trying to get folks involved and committed. But there are definitely ways, and it's just sometimes it just takes one student who convinces all of their friends, or one teacher saying something in a class, or I don't know. There's a lot of different ways it happens. And then Jean had a question about the topic. So the special topic is, as Lydia mentioned, it changes every single year. And every year it is determined by the International Envirothon, because Envirothon is an international program. So it's determined by them as well as the host of the international competition for that year. So that topic has been determined already, and it is soil health management, agricultural principles, and stewardship. So I just put that in the chat for y'all. So that topic has been decided. However, what Jean, you might be referring to is the oral presentation scenario, which is Virginia specific. And that is something that every year we write about a Virginia real life environmental problem that is related to that topic. And yes, that will get revealed during that kickoff in October. So you are absolutely right about that. All right, any other questions, thoughts, feedback, anything? All right, trying to see what else we can dig into with this. Well, if no one else has any questions or wants to talk about anything Envirothon related, I won't keep y'all here, but we will still be here and would love to chat all things Envirothon. And yeah. But again, I just want to thank Lydia because she did a lot of really great work to get that Envirothon guide to where it is. And hopefully it will be helpful for all of y'all as you perhaps begin getting involved in Envirothon. I mean, it's a really, really incredible program for, well, where will, so that also has not been announced yet. It will be announced during that October kickoff. Is there any way to review tests and judging forms after the competitions? Always so rushed. Yeah, so traditionally, Envirothon rules have stated that there is only, you can't like review the tests. Students can't have the tests because essentially the reasoning for that is to keep certain, if a question were to be repeated the next year, the people who had been teams for longer would have an unfair advantage potentially because they would have studied directly from a test that other teams did not have access to. So it's an accessibility thing is why we do that. I completely understand why folks want to review tests. But unfortunately, we aren't able to let any tests into hands of students or coaches after competitions just because of that equitable equity issue. But yes, I definitely understand that it can be hard to review things after you're already tired and maybe you're, not super thrilled with how things turned out. But hopefully the practice tests that Lydia has put into the guide are helpful just so that you can study what a test may look like, even though you might not be able to review the exact test that you took. The recording will be posted on our YouTube channel. So in that Envirothon guide, there's a link to all of our Envirothon YouTube videos, as well as on our website. So it will be posted lots of places. Awesome. I'm so glad that you feel confident. And if there's anything that anyone can do to help, I'm available. And then also your local district is a really great resource. That's one where I will definitely push the local district as like your number one supporter because they will be able to really help you get connected with those local resources, resource professionals. They might have items that they can loan you. So yeah, definitely reach out to your local district and again, myself, and we're happy to help however we can. And then of course, for all of you, I hope that you will all join that kickoff meeting in October. Again, no date has been put out yet, but as soon as it is, I will be posting it all over social media. It will go on the newsletter, all that good stuff. So definitely join then because that is when we will officially kick off the start of the Envirothon 2026-2027 season. We're going to go over these materials again, as well as all of the new things that are coming up. So state competition location, the official oral presentation scenario, all that good stuff. So definitely join then. And absolutely, thanks to everyone who joined. I hope that this was helpful and that you got, a little bit out of this and were able to see some new resources that you can use. All right, Lydia, do you have any other thoughts or anything before I stop recording?
Nope. Go to your area trainings.
Yes, area trainings, that's also huge.
They are infinitely helpful.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, I'm going to stop recording, but myself and Lydia will stay online. So if you need anything, you want to ask something and not have it be on the recording, we'll stay online and happy to help however we can.